We're always told that the Soviet Union is the big bad, that they are literally the worst regime to ever exist. And we cage more people than the Soviet Union?
Which side are you on? Which side are you on?
Let's talk about this. Let's talk about the prison defender. There's this guy, a private attorney. He's don't even work for the state. Bill Lunsford. Bill Lunsford is getting over $7 million a year to defend our unconstitutional prison system from lawsuits by the Department of Justice and other various parties, I think. And that is as much as Nick Saban makes, basically. He just got a raise to 9-point-something million, but before that he was making 7.7 million a year. And at least with Nick Saban, you can say, like, okay, look, I think he's probably worth $7 million.
He's by far one of the greatest coaches in college football history.
He brings in way more than $7 million in economic revenue to the state of Alabama, I think, and I think so. I don't have a huge problem with him making that money. I think that the students also contribute to the amount of money that UA brings in, and I think they should get some of that and a lot more of that. But the idea that we are spending as much money as we do as a state on Nick Saban, the best college football coach in history, probably, bringing millions of dollars into the state every year. We're spending that same amount of money on some freak who is willing to defend, because you have to be a freak to defend our prison system, right? You just can't do it. We just froze somebody to death a couple of months ago. Right? This is not a defensible prison system. I've heard conservative legislators be on the radio talking about how our prison system is worse than third world countries and we really do need to address it. And then they go down to Montgomery and they don't do anything about it. But the idea that you would be willing to defend Alabama's prison system is like, you're a freak, right? You're a freak.
It's violent, it's cruel, it's dehumanizing, it's unconstitutional every day that it's in operation. And, what are the taxpayers of Alabama getting for these millions of dollars? Because for me, as an Alabama citizen, as a taxpayer, I would want the state of Alabama to send a lawyer to go meet with the DOJ and say, how do we fix this?
Yeah.
And let's start fixing it.
Yeah, this contract is for 2 years. The upcoming contract is for 2 years, and it's for $20-something million. And imagine, $20 million is not going to fix our prison system, but we could do something with $20 million.
Right. You could hire quite a few social workers. Right. You could hire quite a few more probation officers. You could hire quite a few more, folks to work in mental health in the prison system for that amount of money. And again,
you could give people houses so they don't end up on the streets and then filling our jails, right? How many houses could $20 million build? How many people would that keep off the street if we created $20 million of housing?
So, yeah, I think that if I'm not mistaken here, Mr. Lunsford receives more in his payments from the state of Alabama than affordable housing does as a policy, as an initiative. Like, just more money given to Mr. Lunsford than is spent by the Alabama legislature, devoted to affordable housing. It's wild. I recommend folks check out the article by Josh Moon that was posted this week on the Alabama Political Reporter. I'm glad he caught that and put that out there because it I'd not heard about it. I certainly hadn't heard about it. And, that's something that I think is really interesting. You've got a guy making $7 million a year defending a system that is so obviously and egregiously bad that there's no questions about. Like, no one's out here saying that ADOC is okay. No one's out here saying that Alabama's prisons are okay. I mean, it is universally agreed upon they are cruel and inhumane and overfilled. Like you said, even conservative legislators are willing to acknowledge this. They won't do anything about it because that may actually require some criminal justice reform. It might require funding programs that might help people. And I know helping people is a really, big no-no in Montgomery. But it's just, it's very egregious. And, I'm glad he interviewed Chris England for this, who is an attorney as well as a legislator, because he asked, what are we defending? And I think that's a good question. What is our $7+ million a year going to defend? Because it looks like, from my angle as an ordinary citizen who pays taxes, that my money is going to defend a cruel, inhumane system that is warehousing way too many people. More people inside the state of Alabama are locked up than almost any other place on earth. Okay, all those bad countries I'm supposed to be scared of. I'm supposed to be grateful I live in America and not those really bad, terrible countries, right? But Alabama is incarcerating more people inside our borders than those bad countries are. So
yeah, the United States of America incarcerates more black folks today than South Africa did at the height of apartheid. And Alabama has a higher incarceration rate than almost any other state in the country. And we cage more human beings than the Soviet Union did in the gulags. Right? And we're always told that the Soviet Union is the big bad, that they are literally the worst regime to ever, to ever exist.
That's true.
And we cage more people than the Soviet Union? Than Maoist China?
Yeah, so then you have to ask, okay, so do you want me to believe that the people of Alabama are just that much more sick and degenerate and criminal?
Yeah.
And in which case, is it really Sweet Home Alabama? Yeah. But,
And then that's before we even, this is just the system that puts people in these prisons. We're not even talking about the conditions that these people live in the prisons, and the lack of rehabilitation.
Which are so disturbing and disgusting. I got a chance to hear a presentation from Alabama Appleseed earlier this spring. And if you're not following Alabama Appleseed, you should be, because they're doing really, really important work in this area, specifically with criminal justice reform and dealing with the prison situation here in Alabama. And it was just shocking to hear some of the stories, to get some of the statistics from them. The state of Alabama's prisons are dire. Dire. I mean, disturbing. It's a national disgrace. It is a national disgrace. And so, here's a gentleman making $7 million a year to defend that.
Yeah,
it's a shame.
And some lawyers have this idea that, you can defend anybody for any reason. And we're not talking about a public defender defending a murderer, which is a murderer's having defense is a constitutional right, and it's an important constitutional right.
And we believe in due process.
But
as unionists, I mean,
but the Alabama Department of Corrections is not a person. They do not have constitutional rights, and if we even say that we do need somebody to defend them, which maybe we do just for due process, I don't know. I'm really skeptical of that, because I think the state could just say, yeah, you know what? You're right. We agree, because on the facts of the case, there's no way to argue that we're not violating the Constitution. And so we're just going to do the thing to repair our prison system. But
so
even
if we stop breaking the law.
Yeah. Even if we didn't do that, though, we don't have to pay somebody $7 million a year to defend this. And this freak doesn't have to sell himself for $7 million a year to do this, right? This is somebody who could take, who is experienced enough and has the connections that he could take any case that he wanted, and he is choosing with his limited time and resources to defend the Alabama prison system. A freak, this guy is.
Yeah, I mean, just for the record, he moved from the Maynard Cooper law firm to Butler Snow. So one of the most powerful firms to another one of the most powerful firms in the state of Alabama. So I'd be inclined to agree with you that he could probably pick his clients here and has chosen this one. But, you know, for $7 million a year, it's understandable why he's doing it. You know, I personally like to be able to sleep at night. But, you know, some people, you know, have different morals.
You just saw a clip from the Valley Labor Report. We are live every Saturday morning from 9:30 a.m. till 12:30 p.m. And we pride ourselves on keeping all of our content free to everybody so that we can talk to as many working folks as possible. If you support the work that we're doing, you think that it's important, you think that it's good, then consider making a monthly contribution to the project, and you can do that on our website, tvlr.fm.